Hello, everyone. So this morning, I'm waking up. I'm trying to drink some coffee because it's early for me, and I came across a story about the judge that terminated our parental rights. And I figured, well, I haven't read everybody's story in a long time, so I should probably do that. Now, this judge, he took our testimony completely out of context. Like, for an example, in his decision, we explained that the kids were in Child Haven, the whatever it is that the Clark County thinks is a decent place for the kids. They were in there for 2 months when I noticed that Damien was starting to act weird on our 30-minute a day visits. So after the visit, I went back in there and into his cottage. I took him back and I asked him if he was in trouble or, what's the deal? Why is he acting like this? They said, oh, well, we think he's depressed. Tomorrow we're going to put him on antidepressants. Well, the next day when we went in there, they had taken him to the hospital. He had diabetes type 1. He's on 4 shots a day minimum for the rest of his life. Well, the judge said in his ruling that it was me who let him go for 2 months, that he'd already had diabetes, and we let him go for 2 months without noticing that something was wrong with him, and he could have died, and that was my fault, even though he was in their care. And anyway, so I'm going to read this. Judge Stephen Jones, Clark County Family Courts, pleads guilty to federal conspiracy charges. Let's take a picture of his face here, because let me see here. Yeah, I don't know how to use this camera fully yet, but yeah, there's that fucking low-life scumbag. Suspended Las Vegas area family court judge Stephen Jones, on the right, walks out of federal court with his attorney Robert Dreskovich Wednesday, September 17, 2014 in Las Vegas. Jones pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud for his role in a decade-long investment scheme that prosecutors alleged reaped some $3 million. I mean, he was being a criminal, admittedly, during our case. A longtime Las Vegas area state court judge pleaded guilty Wednesday in a federal fraud case in a plea deal that cost him his elected position, by the people he fucked over, and his law license, and is expected to get him 27 months in prison. That's not enough. Stephen Jones stood before U.S. District Attorney Jennifer Dorsey and acknowledged accepting cash at least once in 2007 in the parking lot of the family court in Las Vegas, where he was first elected to the bench in 1992. Jones, 56, also acknowledged abusing his position to vouch for the credibility of his ex-wife's brother, Thomas Seckrell Jr., however you pronounce that, and it claimed that Seckrell was a secret contractor for the Federal Department of Homeland Security, who could turn small investments into hundreds of millions of dollars by buying and selling water rights in the Southwest. Prosecutors dropped 19 conspiracy, fraud, and money laundering charges, 19 in return for Judge Jones' guilty plea to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. 1 count. Trial had been due to start later this month. Jones could face 33 months in federal prison, but the prosecutor said this week that they'll seek 27 months. He is also expected to face a restitution order. Dorsey scheduled Jones's sentencing for January 26 of 2015. Jones and his attorney, Robert Dreskovich, promised the judge would submit Jones's resignation letter on Wednesday to the state bar and to Governor Brian Sandoval. The plea signaled an end to a 3-year saga that included Jones's suspension from the bench, at first with his approximately $200,000 salary, and then without for failing to recuse himself from cases involving a prosecutor who appeared before him while they dated. Because, I mean, if I was a judge and I was dating a prosecutor and I ruled against her, I would assume that it wouldn't make for a happy home life at home. But, you know, while she's trying my case and everything, and he's fucking her, I want my fair trial, is what I'm saying. Is I want a retrial, is because this is completely unethical, and I want a retrial. I want my kids home. You fucker, you destroyed my family for profit and to make your girlfriend look better. You fucking douchebag. The romance became public in October 2011 when a photo was made public showing Jones's hand touching Lisa Ann Willardson's leg beneath the table at a public function. Willardson, who denied the two had an improper relationship, was found dead last December 26 at her home in Henderson. She was 45. Her death was ruled an accident caused by a lethal combination of prescription medications. It's funny, though, because he's also got a domestic violence, which he had on his record before we went to trial, which, like, how the fuck can this guy rule over me, like, judge me? How does this guy get to judge me? Circle Secral 57 of Henderson and 3 other co-defendants, Mark Hansen, Terry Wolf, and Constance Fenton, also took plea deals on Wednesday. Excuse me. Hansen, 56, of Corvallis, Oregon, and Wolf, 59, of Henderson, Nevada, pleaded guilty to one charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Fenton, 70, pleaded guilty to one this isn't very well written, to one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering charge. Each is due for sentencing January 26th. A 6th former co-defendant, Ashley Martin, 30, of Las Vegas, pleaded guilty August 11th to conspiracy to commit money laundering. She was placed in 1-year pretrial diversion program that could get the case against her dismissed. The federal prosecutor said in the plea agreement that 22 investors lost some $2.6 million in the scheme between 2002 and 2012. That's during the time of my trial. Criminal. Money that was promised to yield high returns was instead used for the defendant's living expenses and gambling. He had an addiction. Gambling is an addiction, and it cost me my family. His addiction cost me my family. Dreskovich said Jones' resignation made moot another Nevada commission on judicial discipline inquiry. Jones's resignations made moot another Nevada. Okay, the investigators had begun looking early this year into allegations that Jones associated with ex-felons improperly, handled drug evidence, and failed to disclose a prior intimate relationship with another woman who appeared as a lawyer in his courtroom. Judge Knott. Yeah, so I want my free trial. I want my fair trial. Fucking criminal douchebag motherfucker. I want a fair trial. I want my kids home. You have no right to have my kids when a fucking criminal. He's admitted he's a fucking criminal. He was being a criminal when he took my kids. That's like going to the prison and asking any inmate there to decide on somebody's case. He's a fucking criminal. He was being a criminal at the time. Yeah, I ain't done with this one. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out.